the voter service co-chair for the League of Women Voters ABC, which covers the northwest suburbs of the metropolitan area. And I live in Champlin, so I'm in Hennepin County and can't vote for any of these candidates, so I can be totally neutral. The League of Women Voters is pleased to present this candidate forum for candidates in Anoka County. It's a kind of an unusual situation that we have this year. There are many candidates that are running unopposed, and but it's important for us, I think, as citizens to learn about them, even though they're running unopposed. And we learn more. We can use this opportunity to learn more about these offices that tend to be not in the limelight all the time. It is the League's mission to promote citizen involvement in government and increase public understanding of issues. And we believe that an informed citizenry is the foundation of an effective democracy. Through our 92-year history, we have been recognized, the League has been recognized as a leader in voter education and respected for advocacy for good government. The League of Women Voters is open to the membership by both men and women, for both men and women, and we invite you to join us. Visit our website for more information at lwvmn.org. And if you want more information about candidates, the Secretary of State has a wonderful website. You can get to it from the League website as well, minvotes.org. And that's a very good source of information. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan volunteer organization organized at the national, state, and local level to encourage citizen participation in government. While we as a League do study and take stands on issues, we do not ever endorse or support any candidate or party. The views expressed in this forum are those of the candidates, not those of the League of Women Voters, and our sponsorship is not an endorsement of any candidate. Okay, so we're going to start tonight with the Anoka County Commissioner District 5 candidate, followed by the sheriff and the county attorney. Each candidate will give a 2-minute opening statement, followed by questions which have been submitted by the audience, and 1-minute closing statements. We'll attempt to cover as many areas of interest by the audience as we can get in. Okay, so in Anoka County, and for the commissioners, there are 3 districts up for re-election this year. District 4 includes Fridley, Spring Lake Park, and Columbia Heights, and is represented by Jim Kordiak, who is running unopposed and is not here tonight. District 5 includes a slice of South Andover and the west slice of Coon Rapids. The candidates for District 5 are incumbent Debbie Johnson, who could not be here tonight, and Mike Gamache. So we will hear tonight from Mike. And Mike, would you like to start with your opening statement?
Sure. Thank you, Jerry, and thanks to the League of Women Voters. I did want to just make a small correction there. Debbie Johnson is not the incumbent. Carol Ledoux is the incumbent.
Oh, yes.
And Carol Ledoux is retiring from the county commission, going to enjoy some time with her family and grandchildren. So I wish Carol all the best as she moves on to other things. So this is an open seat in Anoka County. And as being mayor for 14 years of the city of Andover, I've got the experience that really is required to work with the county board. I've worked with them on many different issues over the years, and also with the cities in our area, work city councils and mayors all across the North Metro area as well. That experience is one of the main reasons why I wanted to seek this office, because I know what needs to be done with the Anoka County Board and on the Anoka County Commission. We're looking at a lot of issues that address the transportation problems that we have up in Anoka County. And I also want to use my experience that I've had, not only being a mayor, but also being on the North Metro Mayors Association, where I've been president now for 4 years. We've addressed a lot of the issues on highways and getting expansion of Highway 10 and other highways in our areas so that we can help those of us who commute every single day get back and forth to work as best we can. So that's one of my main goals and priorities should I win this seat coming up in November. But I also want to look at how we can help attract more businesses to Anoka County, and that's what I've been able to do in Andover. We've built a whole area that was vacant property for many years after we had cleaned up the junkyards, and now we've got vital and good quality jobs in Andover. So I'm hoping that people can support me in November, and I hope to be your next county commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. First question, what big infrastructure concerns do you see facing Anoka County? And what solutions would you take to address the ongoing maintenance of existing infrastructure?
Sure, that's a good question. Because really the infrastructure is vital in as far as the highway system is concerned, especially on Highway 10. In Andover, we stepped up and worked with Coon Rapids and with Anoka and other cities in the area to see improvements on Highway 10, to bring that third lane all the way up from Egret. Now it goes all the way up to Hanson. And over the years, when they've reconstructed the bridges, it's Main Street, Round Lake Boulevard, they've always done it so it had enough room for 6 lanes total, and that's what we really need to be doing. So in my role as mayor and also as North Metro mayors, I've worked with representatives in both parties to try to get more construction dollars for those highways so that we can see the expansion all the way up Highway 10. Obviously, we're going to have some difficult times coming up when we get to Anoka, when we've got the railroad issues and the river. There's a lot of bridges there, but we're working hard with our local representatives, and I think we can get that done.
Thank you. How does or can Anoka County cooperate with other counties to serve their constituents better?
And that's another good question. We've, in Andover, what we've done is tried to sit down with our local friends, our cities around us, to work on bringing together, whether it's the fire departments working together, whether it's working closely with the sheriff's department. In the city of Andover, we do not have a police department. We use the Anoka County Sheriff's Department because it gives us good coverage, plus it saves our taxpayers dollars. So working with other counties to address some of the issues that face all the counties, because as far as the county commissioners are concerned and what happens at the county board is that it's federal dollars and state dollars that come down, and then the counties have to put those programs into place. So we should work with our friends in Sherburne County, Hennepin County, or Ramsey County, Washington, those areas to make our programs work even better than what they are today, so we can save money for the taxpayers and also make sure we serve the people that need the services that we're providing.
Okay, next question. Anoka County chose to use the wheelage tax to supplement highway funding when this tax was first used, and then later voted to not implement this tax. What is your position on using the wheelage tax to supplement our county highway funds?
Yeah, the wheelage tax was interesting with the way the legislature changed the law. I think it was just in the last session or so, and moved it from being where Anoka County was using it as a $5 wheelage tax, and then they boosted it up to $10 wheelage tax. And in doing that, they could not, I think it's based on the software programs that they could not have counties have different taxes. You either had to have all or none. Unfortunately, that, I think, hurt us because that became an issue that the county commissioners decided that if they couldn't do it the way they wanted to do it at the $5, they were going to drop it. I would like to see the state legislature do what they can to fix that law so that the counties have the ability. One of the things I've learned as a mayor is that you want some local control over what's happening. You don't want to be told everything that you need to do. So I would like to see some local control come back. If it's needed, let's do a $5 wheelage tax. If it's not, then let's continue the way we're going right now.
Okay. To deal with the changing needs in housing, law enforcement, health and welfare, and so et cetera, what changes would you suggest in staffing levels for the county? For the county commission, or I think for the county.
Okay. The staffing levels, that's a tough question. I'm not on the county board, so I don't have the access that they have right now and knowing what goes on. I plan on getting well equipped with that information as soon as I can. What we have to do is make sure we're providing the services that people expect. And with social services that Anoka County does provide, we need to make sure that those are up to the standards that our people want and they need. And so I'll work hard on that. Right now, I couldn't give you a real good answer of what needs to be changed because I don't really have that information, but I'm going to work hard to make sure that we provide the services that our residents expect, and we do it in a fiscally responsible manner so that what I've done in Andover and what we've done in Andover is tried to keep things balanced so you didn't have large increases or decreases in your taxes. That way people can know what to expect. They don't have any surprises that the taxes get jumped way up or anything like that. So I'll work on that as hard as I can, but really I have to get some more information on exactly what it is that's needed in that regard.
Okay, here's another kind of similar question. As a county commissioner, how would you stabilize library funding and other services lost through budget cuts?
Yeah, the priority is going to be, obviously, you want to make sure that the services, as I mentioned before, that the services that our residents expect are there for them. And we have had some loss in hours. I believe that's come back a little bit in the last year or so, which is good because I think the library hours are important. They're vital. And what we've been able to do in Andover is expand into our community centers so that you've got in Andover, you can actually go to our community center and order your books, pick them up right there in a locker, and then also look on the screens, touch screens that they have right there and order other books to have them delivered and brought to you. Having these types of services outside of our normal libraries that we currently have is a good service for our communities and a good service for our people because it gives them the ability to be flexible and where they can go and how they can take care of that. So I think building in some more flexibility, using the technology that we have is a good way of increasing really the residents' ability to use the libraries.
Okay. It seems like everything costs money. We need more money for roads, for public safety, etc. Where does more money come from?
More money comes from building and bringing in new business to our communities. One of the things that we've been working very closely and diligently on is bringing together all our county commissioners. We've done this with the North Metro Mayors Association. We've sat down with our business community. We've sat down with the commissioners. We've sat down with our state representatives and senators and the cities and the city councils to talk about how we can improve our transportation system so we improve our businesses. And I've talked to businesses. The gentleman that owns Holland Trucking in Coon Rapids talked to me about how his difficulty isn't getting his trucks on the road, it's getting drivers to come down and apply for jobs in his company. And he offers great benefits, he offers a great salary, but they don't want to drive down Highway 10 if they live up in St. Cloud or up in that area. So he's losing people that could come down and do the work here. We need to make those improvements because if you make those improvements, you'll have more businesses in the town. You have more businesses in town, those businesses will pay more of the taxes and less of it is placed on the backs of our homeowners.
Okay, Mike Gamache, what is the commissioner's responsibility concerning housing for homeless youth, veterans, as well as other homeless adults?
Yeah, we need to work with the organizations that are set up currently to help in those areas, and the county does need to put money into those with those organizations to help provide for some of that housing that is needed, and it is needed in the area. A lot of people think that there's not homelessness in Anoka County, but there is. And as a mayor, I've been working with local organizations throughout Anoka County that represent people in Andover and represent some of the schools to try to help them out, and the county commissioners can help as well. And I know that they're doing some of that. And we need to continue to do that because you want to make sure that you're working with your local churches, you're working with other social service programs that are in the area that can provide those services for the people that need it. And as a county commissioner, I'll work hard to make sure that we continue to do that. Like I said, I've done that as a mayor, and we'll continue to try to do that as a county commissioner as well.
Okay, one more question
All
before
right.
we go to the closing statement. I understand that Anoka County has an epidemic of the bacterial infection chlamydia. How will you combat this sexually transmitted infection with both financial resources and public education efforts?
Education would be the most important aspect of that. Educating people on the risk, educating people on what's happening in the community, and I think that's where you have to go. I'm not as familiar with what the statement that was made there, but I think if you can educate people and let them know that there's an issue out there and they have to be careful, they have to know what's out there, and so that they can take the steps that are needed. Beyond that, I'm not really sure where else to go with that, but I'm sure that if there's we've got great hospitals. I'm on the foundation board at Mercy and Unity, and I know that there's great organizations and great hospitals that help people all the time. Bringing them in, helping them educate the people in our county would be a good place to start.
Good. Okay, your closing statement, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks again for having this event to the League of Women Voters. I've been a mayor now for 14 years, so I've got the experience that's required to work with the county board and work on the issues of the county, as well as working with our local cities. One of the things I would like to do, one of my priorities as a county commissioner would be to work closely with our city mayors, our city councils, because they really do have the ear of their local communities, and making sure that we have transparency in county commission work and what goes on here at the board, and also working with those people to know what's happening in those local communities so that the county commissioners can act and react and have our priorities set right and make sure we're spending the money in the right way. It's all about making sure you're fiscally responsible with the dollars that you and I all pay in our taxes, and making sure we provide the services that everybody needs and expects from the county. But thank you, everybody, and you have a good night.
Thank you, Mike Gamache. I reiterate that Debbie Johnson is his opponent. She is not an incumbent. It's an open seat. So I encourage you to go to other places to find out about her stance on these issues. District 7 includes East Andover and West Coon Rapids. Scott Schulte is running unopposed for that seat, and he cannot be here tonight. Now we will move to the Anoka County Sheriff, James Stewart, who is running unopposed, and we will hope that we won't have another incident like we did 2 years ago when we had about this time, we had a fire alarm go off in the county courthouse, and there was an actual fire downstairs, and we didn't get to hear from these folks. So I'm very much looking forward to hearing from him. So first you can give an opening statement.
Oh, very good. Well, I'd like to start just by saying thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this event tonight. It is certainly my privilege to be here, and it's also my privilege to serve as your sheriff in Anoka County. I have served our communities as a member of the Sheriff's Office for over 20 years in a variety of leadership roles, and I've also served through a variety of different community and charitable organizations, which are very important to me. I'm a firm believer that how we invest our time and how we invest our resources can and does make a big difference in our communities. And since taking office, I have vowed to ensure that we, as an office, improve where we are able to, refine ourselves to ensure that we are providing efficient and effective service delivery in all 6 divisions of the Sheriff's Office, to expand our roles in electronic forensics, and that's to assertively really embrace the future while ensuring justice for our citizens, to obtain international accreditation within our forensics laboratory as a guarantee of our ongoing commitment to excellence, and to partner with our communities and organizations to find ways to improve this entire region for our youth as well as for all of our collective future. I've strived to develop an organization of ambassadors, not just call takers. Those who have seen my talks know that I work hard at that because I think it's important, ultimately because I am a life that was changed by a police officer who acted as an ambassador to me when I was a youth. And as a result, our office now hosts and participates in a wide variety of community outreach projects every year and has also expanded our efforts in crime fighting and community programs throughout many collaborative efforts. Each of our programs and our services are designed to stop the victimization of our citizens, to help our communities learn about the public safety issues at hand, and to serve in a way that shows our commitment to you. So thank you for having me tonight. Thank you for allowing me to have been your sheriff thus far, and I look forward to another term.
Thank you. Okay, the first question here is to give some examples of ways that you cooperate with cities in Anoka County and with other counties.
Excellent. Some ways that we partner. I'll start at the city level. Although our infrastructure is supported by all 21 communities of Anoka County, I work very closely with 8 of the communities because we are their police service provider. So I work very closely with those city councils, and we try to be very responsive to the needs of those communities. Beyond that, the remaining 20 of the 21 cities, we work very closely with the police departments, and we work very closely with those councils and special events and different needs. I think hopefully we'll have a chance to talk about some of the heroin and human trafficking things that we've been working on, but as you have hopefully seen, we're carrying those messages across all 21 communities of Anoka County. On a broader scale, our Regional Forensics Laboratory, we partnered with Wright and Sherburne counties to provide the forensic services for all 3 counties to ensure that we are able to more effectively share those resources and have a faster turnaround time and ultimately prevent the ongoing victimization, again, of our citizens. So we work at the city level, the county level, and of course work a lot with our state reps and senators as well.
Okay, since you brought up drugs, I have 2 rather long questions here, but maybe you can cover them all at once. What is the current drug of choice in Anoka County? What measures are you taking to deal with it? Are we gaining or losing ground in the drug war? And then I understand that Anoka County has an unusually high incidence of drug trafficking. Where are these drugs coming from, and what can we as citizens do to support law enforcement efforts to combat drug abuse in our area?
That is a lot of questions. Okay, I won't take them in that order.
Okay, but well, let's give him 2 minutes if he needs it.
Thank you. I won't necessarily take them in that order, but I'll try to put it in some chronological order. Basically, we have significant drug issues in Anoka County. I don't know that we're any different or any more than anywhere else, but we try to be more aggressive about the enforcement and apprehension of the criminals that are doing it. So we tend to maybe get a little bit more attention and have historically shown higher numbers as a result. We work very assertively with our local law enforcement partners to ensure that they have the best training possible. We work with the Anoka-Hennepin Narcotics and Violent Crimes Task Force, and we work very closely with the DEA. Our pipeline for heroin, as an example, is directly from the Mexican cartel. We have representatives right here in our communities, as was forewarned in 2008 by some of the sheriffs down in the southern states. They made it clear at that time if we didn't find a way to secure our borders that we would be seeing weapons and narcotics in our communities, and here we are, fast forward to 2014, exactly encountering those problems. So what we are doing in a variety of different ways, we've established our prescription drug take-back boxes, knowing that oftentimes our youth are raised in an environment where they're being told, if you have a headache, take a pill. If you're distracted by butterflies, take a pill. You can't sleep, take a pill. If you want to stay awake, take a pill. We've created this culture with youth where they think if it's in a tablet form, it's safe. And so what we're trying to do is educate them. We're working with the school districts on getting that message out. We've also had multiple community forums related to heroin, and the problem with that, we're seeing purity levels, and I apologize for talking so fast, but I'm trying to get as much out as possible. We're seeing purity levels in northern Hennepin and southern Anoka County that are the highest in the nation, over 93% pure. And so we're having first-time drug users, heroin, people who are going to experiment with it, and they're tipping over. It's the last stupid mistake they're allowed to make. And so we continue to try and work with our legislators, we continue to work with our county partners, and we continue to work with anyone and everyone who will listen to us, including all the different community groups, as we constantly are out there trying to educate. One quick comment on the prescription drug take-back boxes. To date, we have taken over 5,000 pounds of prescription medications off the streets of Anoka County.
Okay, another issue that's a tough one. What progress has been made, if any, in dealing with domestic abuse?
Excellent question. It's obviously an ongoing problem. On the national level, I've been active with the National Sheriff Association as well as in Minnesota for the Domestic Violence Coalition. We work very closely with the Alexandra House as well, and we certainly recognize that this is an ongoing issue that requires ongoing attention. Within Anoka County, we've established a lethality assessment program, and working with the county attorney's office and local law enforcement, the sheriff's office has been able to actually go out and provide training to other law enforcement members across the state. We've begun broadening the Anoka County model on a wider scale, and what this does is allow for expedited processes through the court system, as well as getting them, the abuser, the treatment that they need. And what we're finding is that by identifying the threats that the victims are caught up in sooner, we're able to hopefully turn around their lives and help them get back on the right track. And hopefully that I feel like I missed a part of the question, but
I think that was, I couldn't tell you if you did or not. How are you as sheriff ensuring that your deputies are not racially profiling?
excellent question. I think it really goes back to the proper training, for one thing, but going beyond that, it's the proper hiring. When I took office, we had a sit-down, my chief deputy and I met with every single member of our staff to talk about our vision, to talk about our expectations, to talk about where we want to go and who we are as an organization. I can tell you that my time with the sheriff's office, I had never had that happen with me. And it's just, we'll call it a style difference or whatever. But I think it's important for all of our staff members to really embrace who we are and what we are as an organization. And as it relates to racial profiling, it's just not an acceptable means of doing business. And so, I mentioned earlier being an ambassador in the community. It's our job to protect and serve everyone. And that's why we're here, and that's what we're about. And the color of your skin, the financial state you're in, or any type of your background is not relevant. I don't care if you have a D or an R behind your name. It's really our job to protect and serve everyone, and our staff has absolutely done a great job in embracing this concept of being ambassadors in the community and not just call takers.
Okay. What is the most difficult type of situation you face?
That's really vague. The most difficult situation I face would probably be on any given day, some of the time management constraints, working also within budgetary constraints. I think we have a lot of great people that are trying to do a lot of great things within our community, and you know, I touched very briefly on some of our community outreach efforts. We have a staff. I'm very fortunate to be surrounded by people who care deeply about the community and the citizens that we serve. However, we also have a lot of idea people, and unfortunately, sometimes I say that tongue-in-cheek, but I'm one of them. I have a lot of ideas, and I like to think, how can we keep getting better? But at the same time, we can only burn the candle on both ends and in the middle in so many different directions. And so I think the biggest struggle we have right now is trying to prioritize a lot of the questions that you're bringing up and a lot of the other challenges that our staff see every single day, a lot of the things that society would rather think aren't actually happening in Anoka County. Those are the things we deal with every day, and we'll try to keep balancing the needs.
Okay, I think this might be the last one. If you had a wish list, what would you put on it to help you do a better job?
If I had a wish list, I think first and foremost would be staffing, the resources. In some areas, we have made great strides, and specifically in our regional forensics laboratory. And in other areas, we've expanded. As an example, within our patrol division, we've expanded within our contracts, but our countywide resources sometimes are lacking to do the things we would like to do. We are able to keep our head above water in many ways, and I think our partners at the county board have made efforts to keep us moving in the right directions. However, we have been lagging behind for a long time, and I have expressed my concerns with that regard to our current board, and I am optimistic that we will continue to make steps in the right direction to meet the needs of our staffing plans, really and ultimately to provide the services that the citizens elected me to continue looking out for as it relates to their public safety.
Okay. Okay, we are hearing from the Anoka County Sheriff, James Stewart, and he will give us his closing remarks.
Well, thank you very much. As you've heard, there are many issues that remain important in our public safety focus across all of Anoka County and even beyond. We have those partnerships beyond the boundaries of Anoka County, as I talked about. And I will continue to expand our partnerships and really keep service to our citizens paramount. That's what we're here for. I swore an oath to protect and serve the citizens of Anoka County to the best of my judgment and ability, and I take that oath very seriously. We must ensure that across our nation, our elected officials also embrace the reality that public safety remains a core function of government, that we are here for you, and that we will be prepared when you need us the most. I will close with the Anoka County Sheriff's Office mission statement, which summarizes why we are here and what I intend to carry out throughout the rest of my time as sheriff, whether it's 1 term, 2 terms, or, well, we won't go beyond that. But the Anoka County Sheriff's Office mission statement is to protect and serve the community in a manner that preserves the public trust. Because without your trust, we've done something wrong. And our staff, again, has embraced that as ambassadors. So I thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we will now move on to the Anoka County Attorney, Tony Palumbo, who is also unopposed. And would you please give us your opening statement?
I will. Thank you, Jerry, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for the opportunity to appear tonight. I have been in the Anoka County Attorney's Office since 1977. I started there. I started doing juvenile prosecutions, handled various matters, did child abuse prosecutions, moved from there to handling various assignments throughout the entire office, child support, family law, civil, everything in the office except tax. I'm very proud that I never had to do tax. But during my course of years in that office, I did learn a great deal about how to administer justice to citizens, certainly in Anoka County. Since taking office in 2011, that was the first time I was elected. I was assistant county attorney and then elected in 2010, took office 2011. I've continued and developed programs to further that justice. The sheriff spoke a little bit about domestic violence. I'm very proud to say that working with our law enforcement partners, we have developed a lethality assessment project which determines the risk to victims of domestic violence when a law enforcement officer comes upon the scene. We have expanded that as part of our program in the county attorney's office to handle those matters, to try and get them done between 60 and 90 days, which traditionally took between 10 months and almost 15 months. So we are moving things through very quickly. We feel it's in the best interest of the victim, of their families, and also the offender to eliminate that. We've also started a program called the SAFE Initiative. SAFE is an acronym that stands for Stop Abuse and Financial Exploitation. Since taking office, I became well aware, even before I got elected, about the dangers of financial exploitation and abuse of our elderly population. We got together with various public and private officials, started the SAFE Committee here in Anoka County, and with the help of others, we took it statewide. A couple of other initiatives, the truancy court, we have started a teen court. We have also started, and I'm very proud to say we have started a vets court to handle those members of our military that are coming out that are having some problems readjusting. Along with the sheriff, we've done heroin forums and human trafficking, and I am also committed to the communication to the public of information about major crimes and major initiatives. It's my philosophy that the community has put us in office. The community has a right to know what those leaders are doing.
Okay. First question, what progress has been made to combat the high incidence of human trafficking in Anoka County?
Certainly the sheriff's office has been on the front in dealing with this horrible problem that I'm sure the sheriff and I 4 years ago would have never talked about heroin or human trafficking as issues we would have to face today, but we do. We are working with our law enforcement partners. I've dedicated a person in my office to work in this area. We have also worked with our federal partners because, as we know, this is not just a local problem. It is a national problem that we find locally. So we work with the sheriff's office in combating this. We work with the federal government in how to handle the offenders. But the most important thing, I think, is education. We need to teach the young people out there, this is not a way of life, no matter who tries to tell you it. It is not a way of life. Stay out of the business. You will never, ever wind up in a positive situation if you get into a trafficking situation. So education and enforcement, I think, are two keys.
Okay. Anoka County's problems don't stop at our borders. What does your office do to coordinate initiatives and enforcement with other jurisdictions?
We in the county attorney's office have very good working relationships with other county attorneys in the metropolitan area and outstate. For example, in the human trafficking, the Ramsey County attorney has taken the lead on it, gotten some money from the legislature to help perform education that we all benefit from. On the Safe Elders Initiative, I started that and it went statewide so that the rest of brother and sister county attorneys could benefit from the information that was provided by that. We work very closely. We coordinate with information. We handle conflicts for each other. We are aware that rivers or highways don't keep criminals out. They cross them, they come in, they do what they need to do. It's very important for us to work with our law enforcement partners on the collecting the information and securing the amount of prosecutions that we do. And when we find out that it's crossed, obviously, state borders, we look to our partners in the federal government.
Okay, you've mentioned your elder abuse program. What results are you seeing from that, if any?
Well, I can tell you, part of the purpose of this was to get the professionals who work with this elderly population to communicate with each other. When I first started this SAFE initiative in 2012, I was told that Adult Protective Services made 2 referrals in 10 years. Since we started the program, we've had almost 50. So within a couple of years, we have increased the communication. Secondly, we sought and have received a $400,000 grant from the Department of Justice, the Federal Department of Justice, to educate law enforcement on the signs of elder abuse and what to do about it. They are to be trained over a 3-year period. Every department in Anoka County, every law enforcement department, has committed their officers to taking part in training of elder abuse. For example, the chief deputy sheriff told me one time he used to go out on a SWAT call, and for example, on a drug, and he would kick in a door, and if there were a child there, he would think that person was in a dangerous situation, that little child, so he called child protection. But if he saw an 80-year-old woman sitting there, he wouldn't think anything of it. Well, after being exposed to a lot of this information, he realizes that person may be in trouble too. Let's make the referral to adult protection.
Mm-hmm. Have you had to prosecute any election fraud in your tenure as county attorney, and if so, what?
I have had one election fraud case that we have had to prosecute. The majority of these are investigated by state agencies now. They are not investigated by the county attorney's office. There was a change in law a few years ago. I did have one where a person inadvertently voted twice, and recognizing that the law says that I must prosecute, I have no discretion. I must prosecute or I forfeit my office. I made a decision I better prosecute at that point, and gave that particular person, who did not intend it, but unfortunately it did sign a ballot, and she got what's called a stay of adjudication and told, don't do it again. If you don't do it again, there will be no record.
Okay. I don't think I've asked this question. What progress has been made, if any, in dealing with domestic abuse? Did I ask that?
I think you asked the sheriff.
Elder.
Well, in elder abuse, yes, we are making some progress. I can finish up on that one. We've instituted a community-wide and a statewide education program. We have a video that we did in conjunction with Twin Cities Public Television that is now being shown once a quarter on Twin Cities Minnesota channel, which is a half-hour program designed to inform people about the nature of both physical neglect and financial exploitation of elders. We've also developed a mobile app to go that's downloaded free that can go on law enforcement and go on child or adult protection workers' phones. It was vetted by Mercy Hospital as well as by many in the legal field. It is available free so that when you're dealing with elderly, you've got the law right there, you've got questions to ask. We have also put together what's called a prosecutor's trial notebook, which is available through the County Attorneys Association only. And for those prosecutors throughout the state of Minnesota who need help in this particular area, we have an abundance of information that they can use in handling a case like this. My office is 40 lawyers. When you go to certain other counties, you might have 1 or 2 or 3. To get any resources to help them prosecute these kind of cases is very warmly received by them, I can assure you.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's kind of answers the first question of this next one. What's the size of your staff, and is it sufficient to do the work?
I have 40 lawyers. I have a total of, with staff, with some temporaries, about 120 people. It is, people work very hard. We work very efficiently. We are employing what are called lean principles, L-E-A-N, which are principles designed to streamline and make our work very efficient. We have also, because of the increase in crimes, an increase in the nature of crimes, we have also committed resources to training our people. For example, we have an investigative division, and one of our investigators is computer forensically trained, which is probably one of the best trained in the state of Minnesota. Works very closely with Sheriff Stewart's people who work in that area to determine crime. So training is, I think, a very valuable thing. Efficiency, the staff right now, of course, with the raise in the social problems that we're seeing, raise in drug problems, I wouldn't think there's any prosecutor's office that says they couldn't use more help, but we are doing what we can with what we have, given the limited resources that we have.
Okay. And if you had a wish list, what would you put on it to help you do a better job?
Training, allowing prosecutors and those who work throughout the county attorney's office to receive the amount of training that I feel could always be given. We have to balance budget considerations with the work that needs to be done. I would love to be able to send people out for a lot of training to make them a major league players. We are the 4th largest county in the state of Minnesota. We handle crimes that we see both in Minneapolis and St. Paul. As was stated earlier, it spills out. You know, a river, a highway is not a preventive. They come into our counties. The sheriff and I and our partners in the police department have to deal with these issues. I would like to be able to make sure that when we are dealing with major crimes like this, that we have an ability to have a fully trained and a top trained staff to be able to handle them, because we have defense attorneys that are fully trained, and we have to work very, very hard to keep up with the technology as well as the training.
Okay, would you give us your closing statement, please?
Certainly. I am running for re-election because I want to continue those programs I just described. I think they're very worthwhile programs. I have seen the results. And I want to also continue those policies that I think have traditionally been set forth in the county attorney's office and have been carried on by me as the elected official with the help of people in the office. There is much to do, as the sheriff has said. But I do want to continue what I feel is a very high level of professionalism by those people working in the Anoka County Attorney's Office. I am very lucky to work with professionals throughout my office, throughout the county, and throughout the state of Minnesota. I want to continue the relationships that I have built to keep Anoka County a leader in the state of Minnesota. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'd like to remind you that the views expressed in this forum are those of the candidates, not those of the League of Women Voters. And our sponsorship is not an endorsement of any candidate. We're going to take a short break now and get our Soil and Water Conservation District people up here. So give these men a round of applause.